We are live. Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi, early man, and me too. Hi, good evening. How are you guys? How was the new year? Good evening, everyone. Is my audio and video okay? Can somebody confirm me if my audio and video is okay or not? Okay, awesome, awesome. I hope you enjoyed your new year. Yes? Okay, awesome. So, in our previous lecture, we were creating Calendly. Calendly is a scheduler product where there is a mentor, there is a mentee. A mentor creates his availability according to the days of the according to the weekdays, right? For example, on Sunday, I am available between 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. On Monday, I am available between 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. and things like those, right? Um, for example, if I you have to schedule a meeting for me, firstly, I have to set in my availability. Then I have to create an event where I set in some duration. For example, 30 minutes. You can schedule a meeting with me for 30 minutes, right? And suppose I give this link to three other people. In this link, you will see the available time for me on any specific date, right? For example, if you want to set a meet with me on Thursday 12th, you have all these available timings, right? So this is what Calendly does. They have multiple integrations with Google Calendar, with Outlook, and whatever calendar product you have. They set in the invitation on your specific calendar. They handle what are the available timings and what are not the available timings, who is scheduling a meeting with whom, and things like those. Right? So, in our previous lectures, we have created availability. We saw that there are three things that we need to take care of: the user itself, the user data, the availability data, and the events data. Right? So, we used Mongo in our app.js. We have also learned about CORS. Right? What is CORS? CORS is basically when you do not want to allow any servers to hit your APIs and get the data, right? So in CORS, you enable some specific URLs with which you want to allow making an API call, right? This is very important if you do not have a public APIs, right? Now, we have our express, we have our cors. We are going to use env files, so we have .env.config, right? We have our user routes, we have our schedule routes, we have our event routes. We set up our port in process.env.port. We created our express application, we connected to database. We have our middlewares, cors, and express.json. Then we have these three URLs: API v1 user, API v1 schedule, and API v1 events, right? We started listening to the port and we console log server is running. Then we have to connect to the database. We are going to use MongoDB over here. Before this, let me just tell you what are the packages that we are using. We are using bcrypt, we are using cors, we are using .env, we are using express, we are using JSON web token, we are using mongoose, right? Mongoose is an alternative to SQLize. They both have very same structure. So first we require mongoose. We get our .env, right? We set up our DB URI in our env. Let me show you the env as well. We have our port 1338. We have our Mongo URI. This is the default Mongo URI that you get. MongoDB colon slash slash localhost 27017 slash your DB name, right? And we have a secret for encrypting and decrypting your passwords, right? Not decrypting, basically checking your passwords. So we take up our DB URI from process.env.mongo URI, and we set up our Mongo options. We set up new user, new URL parser as true, use unified topology as true. To connect the DB, you simply have to write mongoose.connect, the DB URI and the options, right? If everything goes well, we console log MongoDB is connected. Otherwise, we console log MongoDB is not connected with the error message, and we exit our server, right? We stop our server using process.exit. Next, we created our middlewares, the auth middleware. We have already learned about the authentication middleware is authenticated, right? You will have a request, response, and next. You will get the authorization token in request.headers.authorization. You take up this and split, take out the token actually, because this will have mirror space your token. So you need to split with a space and you need to get the first element. Now you have to do jwd dot verify the token and what has been set in the secret. You find the user using the ID from the decoded JWT token, right? And if the user is not found, you say that user is not found. If the user is found, you set up the user in request.user so we can use it at other places and we do not make uh, database calls regularly. If everything goes well, you call in the next. Otherwise, you console log the error and you send the response as 503 token is invalid, right? Then you have some validators as well for name, for email, for passwords. These are all regex, which simply returns true or false if it is matching the regex that you have created over here or not. In user routes, we have created our sign up, sign in, and sign out. On sign up, you will get name, email, and password. You will find the user. If the user exists, you will say that user already exists. Then you will validate name, email, and password, right? If everything goes as planned, that is, the user is not present in the database, you will hash the password. You will save it in the user using new user and the details. Before this, you have to create the models. So there are three things, three models: user, schedule, and events. In user model, you simply have to require mongoose. You create a new mongoose.schema. Schema is basically the structure of the table, right? How will the table look at a high level, right? So you create a schema where in the user you have name, email, password, events, and schedules. Name, email, and password are strings and are required. Email has to be unique, right? Events would be an array of object IDs, which would refer to the event table. So we set up type as mongoose.schema.types.objectId and with a reference of event. This is basically a foreign key, right? Similarly with schedules, we set up with the schedule table. In the last, you create the name of the table using mongoose.model, the name of the table and the schema. Okay. Then we created the schedule model. In schedule model, you have the user foreign key, which will have the object ID of whose user you are creating the availability. Right? Schedule is basically the availability, this page, this thing. Right? So here, first of all, you need to have the user ID, whose schedule you are saving, the day, the days, right? The start time and the end time. The start time and the end time. Okay. Then the duration of the event for which the availability is going to be set. So the event duration, uh, this duration, the 30-minute meeting, right? So you will have the event duration in number. This is in minutes. We are assuming that this would be in minutes, 30, 60, whatever, right? And it will have an array of object IDs for events, right? For this user, this availability, what are the events created? Okay. Similarly, we have events where we have new mongoose.schema. In the event, what is required? Who is creating it? So the mentee email, for whom this is getting created, so the mentor ID. If I am giving you the link, so this would have my ID, right? Your mentor has to be logged in. Your mentee simply requires an email. They do not have to log in, right? The availability of the mentor, right? If I am giving you, so my availability, this will be an object ID from schedule table. So whatever row this will create, the ID will get stored over here. Okay. The title of the meeting or the event, the description of the meeting or the event, the day it is occurring, the start time of the event and the end time of the event, right? In the routes, we signed up, we sign in, right? In sign in, you have email and password. You will check if the email length is 0. Then you will say, please enter your email. If the password length is 0, you will say, please enter your password. Then you will find the user using his email. If the user is not existing in your database, you will say that 404 user is not found. If everything goes as planned, you would compare the password with the existing password, right, which is stored in the database. If the password is not correct, then you would say the invalid credentials. If it is correct, then you will create a payload where you will store the user ID, right? You will create a bearer token out of it using jwt.sign, the payload, the secret, and the expiry time. This is in milliseconds, right? And you will set the cookies with the bearer token so that in headers, the same cookie can be sent, right? Whatever, see, this payload is getting converted into a JWT token, which we are decoding over here using jwt.verify. jwt.verify will decode the token back to its original state. In user routes, yes, back to its original state, user.id, right? You will set it in cookies and you will send everything is okay. On sign out, you will clear the cookies and you will say signed out successfully. Okay. In schedule routes, we have created the schedule, right? Schedule is the availability to save this form. This form, to save this form, what all you would be sending from front end, the day for which this availability is present, the start date, the start time for this date, right? The end time for this date, and the duration of the event. Okay. For example, if I have to set for Monday, so I set, if I see, if I check or uncheck, you have changes saved. So it is making an API call directly for each one of the days, right? So I will say that, okay, for this date, here I am taking it as Monday, but in backend I'm saving it as a date. On the front end, I will convert Monday to whatever the first Monday, whatever the next first Monday is, right? So I have day, I have the start time of the day, this one, I have the end time of the day, this one, right? And the duration. User I will get from request.user.id because I'm using is authenticated before this, correct? If the person is not authenticated, this function will not be called. If he is authenticated, you will get the user ID in request.user.id. So I have the user ID. I will find it in the database using user.findById, right? You just pass in the ID, it will return you the exact user. If the user is not found, we will say something went wrong, the user is not found, or something like that, right? Then we will get the present schedule, whatever is already being saved in the database. We will find it using schedule.find1, the user and the day for this specific day and for this specific user. Is there any schedule already there? If there is already a schedule, we will not let the user to schedule, right? Because this is a create API, right? This is a post API, this is a create API, so we cannot recreate a schedule. So we will disallow the user to create a already created schedule. If the schedule is not present, we will check the start time, we will check the end time, right? To make our thing simple, we will replace colon with dot. For example, if I am setting for 9:30, so it will become 9.3. I will tell you the reason why this is happening at a later stage. Today we will learn about this, right? This helps us to check the less than and greater than sign. Okay. So if I change 9:30 to 9.3, I will be easily able to use less than and greater than sign. So I'm converting them into floating numbers, right? Then I am creating a new schedule and I am saving it, right? With the user, the day, the start time, the end time, the duration, I am saving it in the database using new schedule.save. And in the user also have the schedule inside it, right? We have the schedules. This has to be an ID. So we'll have to push the created ID into user.schedules. Into user.schedules, we have to push the newly created ID and we have to save the user as well. Okay. When everything goes as planned, we will say that okay, everything is fine. Piece 201 with the new schedule event created, the availability created, right? To get any schedule, you simply have slash get slash the user ID for any specific user. For example, if I have to populate all my availability at a specific date, right? So I will use this API dot get API get slash user ID. If I send my user ID, it will send the schedules for a specific date, right? First, I have to find the user using the user ID, user.find by ID. If the user is not found, I will say 404 user not found. Otherwise, I will search for this user into schedule, right? And I will send back the found schedule. It will send you all the schedules that have been saved for that specific date, right? All the schedules for that specific user for any dates. Now, if I have to update any already created schedule, I have the put method over here. Put is used for updating, post is used for creating, and delete is used for deleting, right? And get is used for getting something, reading. So I have dot put where I have slash update slash the schedule ID. I will get a schedule ID in request.params.schedule ID. I will find my ID in schedule, right? If schedule is not found, I will say 404 schedule not found. If it is Uh, if the schedule length, if there are no events, then I will say we cannot delete. Sorry, if there are events in the schedule, so we will say that the schedule already have events. We do not allow already created schedule when there are events on that date, right? For example, so this is the case where, so suppose you set up a meeting with me at 6 p.m. Now, if I want to change my availability on that specific date to 5 p.m., then your meeting will get cancelled, right? And you are waiting for me to enter into the meeting. So in that case, we will not allow the schedule to be updated if there are events in those dates, right? If everything goes as planned, we will get date start, day end, event duration from request.body, right? Uh, Same thing, schedule start and schedule end. We will convert 930 to 9.3, and we will update using schedule.update1, where I pass in the ID. This is to find that specific row. The first parameter is to find that specific row. So we will find by underscore ID, and the ID we will get it from request.param.schedule ID, and we will update all these things into that specific rows, right? Now to delete that specific schedule, we will simply make a delete call with slash delete slash schedule ID. We will find the user by ID, right? Using the logged in request.user.id. If the user is not found, we will say 404. If then we will find the schedule by ID. So await schedule dot find by ID. If the schedule is not found, we will say 404. If there are events, we will not allow them to delete it. Right? If everything is fine, then we will find by ID and delete. Okay? These are all Mongoose functions. So in the model, you simply have to pass in the function find by ID and delete. So it will find this specific ID in the database and it will delete it. We have to also update the user schedules in the user table. So we will pull out the schedule ID from the user and we will save that user. Okay. If everything goes as planned, we will say schedule deleted. Right. This is what we have done so far. I will wait here for a minute if there are any doubts. Is there any API that you did not understood exactly? Do I repeat any of the APIs? Do you guys want me to repeat any of the APIs? Is everything understood? Okay, this create is a little tricky one. Delete API. Okay, delete is straightforward only. See, in the delete, you find, first of all, you find the user using request.user.id, right? Then you find the schedule by the ID that is getting sent in the URL itself. If there are events, you do not allow the schedule to be deleted, right? If everything is fine, you find by ID and delete. So you are getting the ID in request.params.schedule ID. You simply call this function find by ID and delete. It will find that ID and delete it, right? But this ID is also present in the user as well. So you will have to delete that ID from user.schedules, right? Once you delete it, you save the updated data in the user, right? Now understood, Harsh? You simply have to find and delete. This is the only method that you have to call. Okay. Any other APIs? Anybody has any doubts in any other APIs? No? Okay. So we have created this page. Yes, schedule.pull is necessary because if you do not delete this and you try to find out in there is a API call in the users, right, where it gives you all the schedules that will break. In users, you have this get all schedules. Sorry, over here only you have this get all schedules, right? Get all schedules by user ID. Here, what you are doing, you are finding by user and you are finding that this thing, right? If you want to populate, if you want to return all the schedules of that specific user, each of them has it inside over here, right? In the schedules. So you will have to delete it from here as well. Otherwise, the database call will fail. It will try to find out each of the schedules from here and it will not find anything for that specific ID and it will break over there. Understood? Okay, awesome. So we are done with user. User only have your sign up and sign in as an API. We are done with the availability. We are getting all the availability. We are creating the availability. We are updating the availability. We are deleting the availability. Right? Now comes the main part, the events part. This event itself, right? What are the main things of the events? First, we need to create an event, right? We need to get all the time slots. When we confirm on any of the time slot, we get this form where I am asked my name, email, and the event is created, right? So let's create our events. I have, let me copy the name from here, event routes.js. Okay, first we require express router. So we get our express, right? We get our router, express dot router. We call it this function. We module dot exports this router. Right. Now, first we need the model, the event model. So let's get the event model. Require from dot slash models slash event models. We get our event models, right? We also need is authenticated. dot slash middleware slash auth. Okay, we have is authenticated. Yes, right. And we are going to use validate email over here as well because this is asking for an email, right? We are going to just have the email, not the name. So we will have to use validate email equal to require from dot slash utils slash validators. Right. Now, first we need to create the event. So what API call would it be? It would be a post, right? It will come to create. It will have a request, a response. Anybody can create an event, right? So we are not going to use is authenticated for creating this. Okay. If we are using async, we will have to use try and catch. Right. Now comes the tricky part. First of all, what all we will be getting over here? We will get the mentee email. So we will get mentee email, right? For whom this event is getting created. So we will get mentor ID because mentor is already logged in, right? We will get the schedule on what specific time it is getting saved. So the schedule, right? We will have the title of the event. We will have the description of the event. We will have the start, the day at which the event has to be set up, the start time and the end time. Okay, all this will be coming in request.body, right? All this we require in from this form to schedule an event. First of all, we need to check if the email is validated or not. Mentee email, right? If it is not validated, we would return response dot status as 400 dot JSON invalid email, right? We checked our email validation first of all. Then we need to find out the user, right? The from the mentor ID on which this event is going to be created. So let's find the mentor. Let's have it in found user await user dot find by ID. This will be in mentor email, sorry, mentor ID, right? If the user is not found, if the found user is not true, then we would return response dot status as 404 dot JSON. The error is mentor not found, right? We found if I found the mentor, right? Then we will have to find the schedule. That also we are getting from request.body, the schedule ID, right? So let's find the schedule. schedule model dot find by ID, the schedule, right? Now let's understand what needs to be done when an event is getting created. First of all, we need to check if there is a schedule on that specific date, if the user is even available on that specific date, if he has set an availability for that specific date or not, right? The first thing. For that, we need to find that specific schedule and we need to check that if that schedule even exists or not. Okay? If the schedule does not exist, then we will return response.status as 400 with JSON, no availability set, right? This is our first thing, that the user has to put in a availability on that specific date, right? That we will get from this line. Okay, this much is understood. Now, the second thing that we need to check is if the start time, if the start time and end time lies between the availability or not. Correct? So, second thing that we need to check is if the start, whatever time slot he has selected, is between the availability or not, right? Found schedule dot day start. Okay, the start date should, the start time should be less than the starting time of the availability time, right? So, for example, if I have set up the schedule on Monday 6 p.m., right? I should not allow anybody to schedule before 6 p.m. Even at 5:59, I should not allow anybody to schedule, right? So this is the condition that checks that, right? Similarly, your end should be greater than found schedule dot day end. Okay. This means that the start time, the event time is between the availability time. Okay, this much is understood. Response dot status. If this is not the case, then we will send uh, not in between availability times. Okay. Now we have checked whether the event time is between the availability time or not. Okay. Now we have to check if there is a clashing meeting or not. For example, if two-person are setting a meeting with me exactly at 6 p.m., right? One meeting is saved in the database, but the other is bypassing some the front-end checks. So we have to check in the backend as well that no two meetings are getting clashed while creating the event itself. Okay, so let's find out the clashing meetings. Event dot find one. right? If the same uh, mentee email, if the same mentee at that specific date at start time, if the start time is less than or equal to, in Mongo, we write less than equal to like this. If we have to check a condition now, we simply write the key as this. If the start is less than equal to the end and end is greater than equal to, so GTE, your start, right? This will find your clashing meetings. So if we found some clashing meetings, what we do? We return with response.status 400.json with error clashing meetings, right? Uh, we have checked this with Minty, right? We have checked it in the Minty calendar. We have it, right? We have to check it in Mentor calendar as well. So found clashing mentor event equal to await event dot find one with the details of mentor ID, the day, the start should be less than equal to your end, right? And end should be greater than equal to your start, right? If we found this as well, we will say we have a clashing meeting, right? If everything goes as planned, we will simply save it in the database. So new event equal to new event with mentee email, mentor ID, schedule, right? Title, description, the day for the meeting, the start time of the meeting, the end time of the meeting, right? We will save this. So await new event dot save, right? We will push this event in your user as well. Found user dot events dot push the new event, okay, and save this found user dot save, right? And send back status 201 with your event, okay, right? Let's recap. When we are creating a new schedule, when we are creating when somebody, for example Harsh, is setting a meeting with me, first of all I have to find out whether Harsh is busy or not. Then I have to find out whether I am busy or not, right? And we have to find out whether whatever timing uh, Harsh is wanting to have a meeting with me is between my availability or not, right? So we have all these from request.body. We found out uh, my all the details from the DB, right? Uh, we found out all the schedules, all my availabilities. First, we need to check whether it is the start and end is between my availability or not. So this case, then we have to find out whether the mentee is busy at that specific time or not using this, right? Then I have to find out whether I am busy at that specific time or not using this. If everything goes as planned, we will create the event, we will push the event in the user, and we will return back the new event. See, DSA is not, I always say this, DSA is not a book or any topic. DSA is the way that you think, right? We do DSA so that all these edge cases we can think of. Okay. The performance, the security, the edge cases comes from practicing DSA only. So please do practice DSA. It will look like a DSA thing, but this is how any coding happens, right? First of all, we need to send errors on every edge cases, every security, every performance thing. If everything goes as planned, then we will return the new event. Okay? Any doubts in this? Any doubts over here? Always remember security, edge cases, and performance. These three things, especially in backend, you have to think about these three things even in a single line that you write, right? I could have simply created a new event and send it back to the user, but that won't be right. This is not product development. Okay. Then the rest of the APIs are very straightforward. Simply, if you want to get any event, you create an API for slash get slash event ID, right? Async request and response. Have the try catch, right? To get the event, what would you do? You will simply do event dot find by ID and pass in the event ID. Okay, found event equal to await event dot find by ID, and you pass in the request dot params dot event ID. Okay, if it is not found, you return 404 no event found, right? Otherwise, you send back the event. 200 dot JSON the found event, right? Similarly, if you want to delete, what all what all things that you would take care of if you want to delete an event? If you want to delete an event, what all things would you take care of? Tell me. Checking if the event is present at that time or not. Okay. Not event, schedule. If you want to delete a meeting, what all things that you take care of? First of all, we are saving events in the user. So we have to pull the event ID from the user. That is one thing. We are also saving the event in the schedules. So we have to pull that events from schedule also. That is second thing, right? And then we have to check if the event already exists or not, right? If it is backdated event, would you like to delete it or not? If it is, suppose a permanent event that many people are joining, would you like to delete it or not? And many things like those, right? It depends on use case to use case. So first of all, we will find the event using await event dot find by ID. You will get the ID from request dot params dot event ID, right? If there is no event found, you will say return response dot status 404 dot JSON no event found with the specific ID. Right. Then what you have to do, you have to find the logged in user. Found user is equal to await user dot find by ID. Where will you get the ID of user? From request dot user dot ID. And to get this, you have to authenticate it using is authenticated. Okay, you not anybody can delete it, so you will have to authenticate it. Right. If the user is not found, you will say response.status 400.json user not found. Right. Then you will have to find the schedule, delete it from schedule. Found schedule is equal to await schedule model dot find by ID. You can get it from event found event dot schedule, right? Did we save it in schedule during create? I don't think so. Right, over here we have to push it in schedule also. font user, font schedule dot events dot push your new event, right? And we have to await for this to get saved as well. Hmm. Right. So we again, if this is not found, we will say schedule not found. Right. If everything goes as planned, if we found everything, so first we will have to pull the event from user. Okay. From user dot events dot pull the found event. Right. Save this. Similarly, we are finding it from, we are saving it in schedule also. So let's pull it from schedule as well. Dot events dot pull found event, found schedule dot save. Right. And then we will delete the found event. Simply called delete. Right. If everything is okay, what we will do? We will simply return response dot status 200 dot JSON with the message event deleted. Right. Any doubts in this? Any doubts in this? Whenever you are creating any API, first of all, it is a very good practice that you write it over here. What all would you require, right? For this deleting events, right? You will have to delete it from user, delete from user, similarly delete from schedules, right? And all the edge cases. First of all, think about everything. How you are going to handle the security, how you are going to handle the performance, how you are going to handle everything. Then write all these things, right? I have a practice of doing it, so I can do it directly. But for you, you have to write specific steps like we were doing in our earlier classes, right? I won't be able to do it in every big project, but just like we were doing it in earlier classes, we were writing each and every atomic step. Have a habit of writing each and every atomic step, right? Any doubts? Let's start the server. Do you guys have any doubts? I'm hoping not. Okay, so let's try out the URLs. First, we have API v1 user sign in, sign up, right? In this, we will pass in our name, email, and password. So let's create a new user. User has been created successfully, right? In the same, if I want to sign in, I pass in the same, I get the bearer token over here. I copy this bearer token for all the other APIs which require bearer token, right? Similarly, we have signed out. Let's skip that. I have to create a schedule now, right? So for schedule, in the body, you will have the day in this format, right? The start date, the end date, I convert this 9 o'clock to 9.0, right? Similarly, 21, I will convert it into 21. Also, I'm assuming that I will get the start time and end time in 24 hours format, okay? And the event duration. Now in the authorization, I have to put in my bearer token. I hit this. I created a new schedule for me, right? This ID MongoDB itself provides. This is a unique ID which we were doing using UUID in our previous lectures, right? We have set in the user, we have the start date, end date, event duration. Right now, the events array is empty. Now, if I want to get uh, any specific user ID, right? In the params, I set in the user ID, which I am getting it over here. If I want to find out all my schedules, I make this API call. This is returning me an array of objects with all the schedules. Right now, just I have only one schedule with a start time as 9 and end time as 21, right, on this specific date. So I'm getting only one array of object. If I want to update in params, I put in my specific ID, right? I need a schedule ID. So let's get the schedule ID from here. This is the schedule ID. To update, I pass in the schedule ID over here. In the body, I pass in what I want to change. So start date, I want it from 10 to 23, right? And the event duration would be 60 minutes. I hit this. User not found. Okay. Authorization, bearer token, bearer token, bearer token, bearer token. Let me just copy this bearer token and put it over here. I hope you guys are aware of Postman, how Postman works. We already have a class on that, right? Right. So we have acknowledged as true, modified as one. This one means that one row has been modified, right? Matched count, one row is matched. Now if I want to get the schedule again, I will get the updated. So start date become as 10 and end date become as 23. Right? If I want to delete, simply put in the schedule ID over here, right? Authorization token, your bearer token over here, and hit the delete. So it will delete it. If I want to create the event, simply in the it does not need authorization. Yes, Zain, that is true. Okay. I pass in the values, the Minty email, some random email, your mentor ID. I have to put my mentor ID over here. So let me just put in my mentor ID over here. Where did I put it? User is this one. I put in this schedule ID. Schedule ID, I have put it over here, right? This is the schedule ID. I put in my schedule ID. Right. This schedule for this mentor has to create an event. He is trying some random email is trying to create an event with me with the mentor ID of this at this available timing with the title of sample event, description of this at this date and at this start time and end time. Right? I hit send. It created an event for me. Right? See, it created an event for me. The start time changed from 1903 to 19.3 and time from 2003 to 20.3 with all the logics that we have written. The ID of this event is this, right? If I want to get an event ID I put in over here. I make an API call, it will return me that is specific event, right? Similarly, I can delete the event. Right, this was all for Calendly. Tell me your doubts. I'm stopping here for 1 minute. Do you guys have any doubts? You can get the code from the link in the description. Okay, I'm seeing there are no doubts. Okay then, I will meet you in the Mahasabha VC on our Discord channel. I hope this was a good learning experience for you guys. We will come up with more better learning experiences with more better projects. We are going to create a game, I think, in the next class. I'm not sure, but we are going to create some games in near future. Peace.